Good evening, live from Israel. Oh, we're not live, but we are from Israel. It's John's Place. We've been on a small sabbatical. Once again, with me tonight is Mr. Paul Wiener, chairperson of the Likud Anglo division. Okay, let's get right to it, Paul. You ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll whenever you are.
Okay. One of the big political items currently in play for the newly appointed Knesset and government in Israel is obviously the sovereignty bill, which would put Israeli civilian law over the Jordan Valley and most of the settlements in Yehuda and Shomron.
But also to make those areas part of Israel.
Well, that's what the sovereignty bill means, that if it's under Israeli law.
But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, in my opinion, I want people to understand what exactly what it means.
Okay. Did you get that across now, Paul?
I hope so.
Okay. Anyway, this was supposed to be an automatic, a slam dunk when the Trump deal of the century came out. Even Prime Minister in waiting, Gantz, was in Washington when Donald Trump unveiled the plan. Excuse me. Paul, it seems to me lately in the last couple of weeks or so, there has been some little crevices or cracks in the position of a definite move to annex on July 1st these areas. Where do we stand now in the government? I mean, they're talking about yes, but yet we hear all kinds of issues, whether it's the European Union, whether it's King Abdullah from Jordan, whether it's the Saudis, whether it's everybody in the world who really don't give a crap about the Palestinians, but they give a crap about Israel controlling their own citizens in their own homeland. What do you think is going on, Paul?
Well, number one, Gantz had an article today where he told the army to get ready for the what you call sovereignty, what all the news outlets call annexation. Okay, like we did with the Golan Heights and everything. So, the news, we don't know whether the news is real or fake. Some, they exploit situations. It looks like it's going forward. Whether it's July 1st or 2nd or 8th, I don't think it makes that big a difference. Some of the news out there says like, oh, Jordan will never have good relations again with Israel if they do it. And other news says that, oh, we don't want to upset Saudi Arabia, and like you said about the European Union coming down heavy on us because we're all a bunch of anti-Semites in Europe. The point is, it's our country. The same thing happened with Ben Gurion. A lot of the politicians were afraid to announce that, today we created the state of Israel. I mean, Gurion got up, he went to the balcony, he says, I don't care what you do, I'm going and I'm doing it. And he did it, and it happened, and here we are. So I think that's the thing, that we said we're going to do it, and we have to do it. I mean, otherwise he's letting down all the voters, not just Bibi, but Gantz also.
Okay, so my question is as follows. If under any future so-called peace plan that they've had over the years regarding the Palestinians and Israel, no one ever thought that cities like Ma'ale Adumim or Efrat or Ariel were ever going to be given away to become part of a Palestinian state. No one ever dreamt or thought that the Jordan Valley, which is the toughest artery that Israel needs to control for its defenses from forces coming through Syria and Iraq through Syria and Iran proxies through Syria, no one has ever dreamt that that area in the future would never be part of an Israeli state. So my question is, there's always going to be violence. There's always going to be outcry unless Israel returns to the Auschwitz lines, to quote Albert Eben, then they'll never be satisfied. So let's take it that we thought in Jerusalem, the embassy, the world would come to an end. It didn't. We thought when the Trump administration said there are areas in Judea and Samaria that belong to the Jews and it's not occupied territory and it's not illegal settlements, nothing happened in the world. And then comes a coronavirus, which Israel, thank God, has been so helpful around the world and helping solve, maintain, come up with cures for that disease. Now, guess what? It's time for Israel to do something for its citizens who live in these areas and to live under the sovereignty of the government of Israel.
Okay.
Paul, I see you chomping at the bit.
Well, because there is one person that was willing to give up all those areas that you mentioned. That guy's name was Ehud Barak. He was willing to give
The
up.
guy gets to write in the Jerusalem Post every week. Crap, garbage.
Yeah, well, so does our prime
Oh,
minister.
Ehud Barak, I mean Ehud Olmert.
Yes, and that, I was going to say here.
Don't forget Shimon Peres would have been willing to if he was around for that.
Well, that's my whole. Anyway, there is one good thing. Bibi said that all the Palestinian towns or cities that happen to be in Area C will not be part of this, and they will not get Israeli citizenship, which is a very positive thing. Now,
Yeah, the only problem is then you're going to have enclaves of Palestinian towns within Area C, which currently is supposed to be totally under Israeli rule. Here's the bottom line, Paul, and you know it and I know.
Right, but we're going to control those towns and everything, but they will not get citizenship.
Here's the bottom line. Based on some of the details that came out of the deal of the century,
Yeah.
as also to quote David Friedman, the nice Jewish boy from Woodmere, who's the U.S. ambassador to Israel, when the Palestinians behave like Canadians, then they'll get a state. There are requirements in the deal of the century which almost makes it impossible from a Palestinian mentality side to conform to these rules. And I say, you know how the Oslo Accords slowly but surely unraveled Israel and we gave away more and more and more and more till a united Jerusalem was on the table. Then all the Israelis and Jews around the world got nervous. Well, now is the time to do the reversing of the Oslo Accords. We can start a movie. Reverse of the Oslo curse. Now Jerusalem is united under Israel rule. Now we're going to take back major settlement, no, not take back. We are going to control under Israeli law many areas of Judea and Samaria. Yes, it's only 30% at this time. It probably encompasses, I don't know, 90% of the Jews in Yehuda and Shomron. And then we can move further. The Palestinians are not going to conform to anything in the Trump plan of the century. Why wouldn't we take what we can get now and move on? Paul?
All that land has always been us and was given to us in the Torah by God himself. So it's ours. We're just getting back what was already ours because somebody else decided to move in.
And no one took claim to it. The Jordanians didn't take claim to it when the Brits left, after the Turks and everybody. No one wanted it. No one said it was their land, including the Jordanians, who illegally occupied it from 1948 to 67. When did it become Palestinian homeland? Other than the left-wing Israelis who made it.
Wait a second. There has never been anything ever called a Palestinian state, homeland, anything. It doesn't exist. It never existed. They're not Palestinians. They're Arabs, just like other Arabs from other countries.
And another thing, we didn't become a state in 1948 because of the Shoah, other known as the Holocaust, bad term. Okay? This is long before. Herzog was long around way before the Shoah. And guess what? San Remo is long before the Shoah. So we were determined to have a homeland before, because Jews were always persecuted. It wasn't a new thing. So let's not do the Obama thing that Israel was created because of the guilt of the Shoah, you piece of, you know what you are.
Israel was created about 3,500 years ago, after we left Egypt. So, and I don't think there's too much dispute about that. So, but
okay.
Now, you know, but the same, you know, pathological galut mentality enters into it. Like, oh, we don't want to upset the Saudis. Oh, we don't want to upset the Europeans. You know, it's our country.
Who's we? Who's we? Who's we? Who's we? Who's the we? The Israeli government is surely divided over this issue. Okay, we've covered enough on this topic. Let's hope everything goes the way it should go. Our next topic today is obviously the unbelievable rioting that's going on in our great friend and ally and supporter, especially in the years under Donald Trump. The United States is burning. Why is it burning, and what are we going to do about it? And not only that, why is there so much vandalism on Jewish institutions when the Jewish people as a whole and politically have always been supportive of all the causes? And there are plenty of Jewish people who are supporting Black Lives Matter and other places. So I want to know why these, not protesters, these anarchists are attacking Jewish institutions. Did we put a knee on Mr. Floyd's throat and kill him? Why is it falling on us? And why is it that people, some close to me family-wise, are saying it's the white supremacists' fault that this is happening? They're calling for the riots. They're using all kinds of lingo. Can you imagine, Paul? Paul, I want you to go to that falafel shop in Kfar Saba. I want you to destroy it. Do you understand? I want you to throw everything on the floor. Are you going to run and go do it? So what kind of stupidity is that?
Well, number one.
When are the Jewish people going to understand that this is a trend? Unfortunately, how many surveys could the ADL do and tell us the percentage increases from year to year? Do you know that they pay millions of dollars a year to get surveys? Do you need the surveys?
Yeah, ADL is useless, okay? They're useless to the Jewish people. They always have been. We won't get into that.
And ADL.
We're Jewish. What do you want? We get blamed for everything. We're getting blamed for the coronavirus now. And anti-Semitism has risen because of the coronavirus. And like you said, in America, Jewish institutions and everywhere, they're getting attacked and everything because they think they can now do it. It's all a part of Obama's plan to create chaos in the
Obama hasn't been in office for 3 years. Why are you blaming Obama?
He laid the seeds for this, okay?
Of course he did. Of course he did.
And George Soros has advertisements out there. He pays people to come in from other states even to join in these riots because, you know.
So, Paul, let me ask you a question.
Antifa was designated as a terrorist organization in the United States. And they're the ones, the anarchists that are doing all this rioting.
Correct. Let me ask you a question, Paul.
Yeah.
Now, the cries are coming out from the diaspora. I've read some articles, but I've heard about some others, that they want Israel to feel responsible to help the Jews of the diaspora. Now, it was first because of the coronavirus, because they had funding problems and other issues. Now, there's so much rampant anti-Semitism, they're looking for something more. What, as a nation and a Jewish nation, can the state of Israel do for our brothers and sisters who are living in the diaspora to help them feel more safe and secure about their Judaism?
We exist. That makes them feel more secure. We exist. We exist. Before the Holocaust,
Shoah, you were right there.
Before the Shoah, the Holocaust, I use words that people can understand and not just certain people. So before the Holocaust, there was no state of Israel, so we were vulnerable. Now the state of Israel exists, That's the Jewish people's insurance policy throughout the world. It's their choice whether to come to Israel and live in Israel, or their choice to stay with the anti-Semites. We do as whatever we can, not just in Israel, to protect Jews all over the world. But if these fools want to stay in the United States and other countries, then that's their choice. And there's only
Okay.
They want to be there,
Listen.
and then we should protect them. It's not our U.S. is not Israel's responsibility.
Listen, I agree with you.
The
And you know what?
is a worthless institution.
Yes,
that never helps individual Jews. They just
with Jonathan
their own
Greenblatt, the
program.
Obama lapdog who runs it. Listen, let's be honest for a minute. We're not saying let's go, every Jew make Aliyah. Obviously, it's not that simple for some, simpler for others. We are saying be aware of where your future might be. Be aware that if your children are feeling the calling to make Aliyah, how much better off they would be starting out here. But it's not only about the feeling safe and secure. I read an article in the J Post, whatever that paper is, and P-Post, Palestinian Post, where they spoke about the European, some guy who was a European Union guy. Obviously, he was this person who spoke the language of Montreal and the language of part of Belgium. You know that language I'm talking about?
Flemish.
They speak that language in Haiti? No, French.
French.
Oh, I slipped. Okay, anyway, every Jew deserves to be a citizen of the state of Israel. Now, that's all very nice and clear. You get to become a citizen of one of the best, strongest, most capable country in the world. Thank you, God. And what are you giving? What is that, John F. Kennedy? Don't ask what I can do for you, ask what you could do for your country, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, okay, Paul? You're a little older than me. You probably could make that quote better.
Ask.
John, it's what I said before.
What my country can do for me.
What can you do for your country?
And you know what? So you're getting citizenship. Are you paying taxes in Israel? Are your children going to the army in Israel? What did you do to earn the citizenship? Something. Give us something.
They earn the right to become a citizen if they come to Israel. If they want to stay.
The day they land in Ben Gurion Airport and come off that plane, they are processed as citizens. 3 days later, they go to the NBN office, Nefesh B'Nefesh, my good friends, and they get a Teudat Zehut. Not when you came. When you came, they had a handwrite the Teudat Zehut. We're talking about people who come now.
Yeah, they might even get it in the airport.
Yes. Okay. So the answer is, Paul, we are here for every Jew, and the day you land, you become a citizen. But we can't offer it to you if you're not willing to come. We'll offer you cover. Every Jew has cover in Israel. You don't have to be a citizen. You have cover. We will watch you. We will take care of you. But you got to earn being a citizen.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Okay. Moving along to the final topic of the day. I know we're running long today, but since we're having so much fun, Paul, see what happens when you wait a long time? You get into it. Okay, the final thing is, of course, the official Corona update in the state of Israel. As you know, Israel has been one of the leaders in relaxing a lot of the restrictions on people, and it has come to bite them in the tuchus a little bit. Now, it's understandable that this is all built in Israel, that the Israeli government knew a lot of people would not keep all the rules. The problem is that they're policing the issue too much and not law enforcement enough. You go to Tel Aviv, go tomorrow night on a Thursday night, go watch the bars and the restaurants, no masks, no social distancing, no nothing. And of course, can you tell 20-something-year-olds that it's not over with? Can you tell them that, Paul? There was a sharaf, a hot wind for a week, or whatever they call it. Temperatures were well over 100, 110, 115. What did they decide, the Israeli government? You don't have to wear the mask because it's not comfortable. The children in school don't have to wear the mask because it's too hot. Now look, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You either have to wear a mask to protect yourself and others or you don't. Once you let the genie out of the bottle and said, well, for a week, no one has to wear a mask. What did that tell the law-abiding citizens of Israel who love having rules and regulations?
I want
That, guess what? It's over. It's over. It's over.
Okay.
So
You
that was a
know,
mistake.
we weren't born in Israel, but so you're talking about their mentality and ours. But believe it or not, in Farsaba, if you go to a supermarket last week, less people were wearing masks than they are this week. You know why?
They got scared.
They got scared, and they don't want to be under a lockdown for another 60 days. So
Yes, but you
you
know
have to
what?
have-
I do believe deep down, you see, it's kind of like this. The Jew, a state run by Jews for Jews,
Yeah.
they know all the shtick. So all their moves are predetermined by how the Israeli population is going to follow the rules. They'll they'll turn that knob if they really feel they have to, regardless of whether people do or not. Okay? They know their customer, they know who they're dealing with. It's just a shame because there are dangers to older people out there.
That's
It's not about you.
Well, that's what I tell the people.
If you want to ride a motorcycle up a tree at 150 kilometers an hour, just don't hurt other people. If you want to get sick, but don't have a little consideration for other people.
That's my philosophy as well.
Okay, it's time to sum up the show. I'm sure we have ran quite over our normal schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen carefully. This is the real news. Just remember that. We need your comments. We need your support. We need you to share the show and tell people we know what we're talking about. We're not going to treat you like you're idiots. We're not radicals. We're not left. We know the facts of what's going on because we are living here and living the facts with our family. I'd like to say good night, and I wish everybody a continued very, very healthy and happy summer. Paul, would you like to sign off, Paul? Did I wake you there for a minute?
No, I was just listening.
You should have clapped my cymbals.
No.
Go ahead.
You said it all.
Got you to smile.
We'll say,
What?
I was only going to say, if anybody has any questions, send us a question and we'll try to answer it for you as soon as possible. That's all.
Lila Tov from Israel. Lila Tov from Israel.